Here we go. On a Tuesday, Steve DeRocco, Sam Tobias, Hector Gomez, Luisa Alanis, John Williams. Taco Tuesday, back at work, back into the sports world. A huge Taco Tuesday in the world of sports. NBA Finals, the match, Astros in a big series against the Oakland A's. The Astros can really put their foot on the neck of the Oakland A's. It's a 3-game series opening tonight at Minute Maid Park. Astros open the night with a 3.5-game lead. If the Astros could sweep this series or take 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, you'll open up that lead to 4.5 games, and we're zeroing in on the All-Star break. So hopefully the Astros fare well. My goodness gracious, so much to talk about. Welcome in on a Taco Tuesday, back from a long 4th of July weekend. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney, and I see on the video feed, Shannon, you're wearing a green shirt. You got that must be Milwaukee Bucks green. You must be making a statement. You are all in for the Milwaukee Bucks in game 1 tonight of the NBA Finals.
This shirt was at the top of the drawer, but as we are talking about the finals, and I'm sitting here, I'm going over my emails because I tried to be as work free over the weekend, and of course I've got one from Texas that is reminding us that PJ Tucker will be representing the Longhorns in the finals. So I'm not going to be mad if Milwaukee ends up pulling this off with or without Giannis. I think they have just as great of a story as you have on the other side with Devin Booker coming into his own and Chris Paul being able to change the narrative of the guy that just can never get it done.
Yeah, I wish, and Giannis is listed as doubtful for tonight's game 1. That'll be 8:00 on ABC television tonight. I wish both teams were at full strength. Chris Paul still banged up. Chris Paul not at 100%, but Giannis doubtful. So we will see how that plays out. It's going to be very interesting. A couple of notes just to set us up here. We're bringing this morning, in fact, minutes away, we're bringing the Grand in Your Hand cash contest back. Your chance to win $1,000. That's way cool. We do it 12 times throughout the morning on the 20s. So we'll do that at 6:20 and at 7:20. And for anybody new to the show, we've got a live video feed. Lots of ways for you to access the live video feed and not only interact with us in real time and see Shannon in her green Milwaukee Bucks t-shirt, but you can do that via Facebook. Either AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760's Facebook page would get you in. There is a YouTube channel that'll get you in, a YouTube feed. There's Twitch, all kinds of fun stuff. Seeing a lot of people already on Facebook Live, so there is that. Gosh, Shannon, where do we begin? Well, I'll tell you what, because he was talking about him, let's first introduce our soundscape stylist, who is back after being absent without leave, AWOL on.
I was just down the hall. I wasn't very far.
True, but you weren't here, so we had to put up with Michael Bartlett, who was very good, by the way. Dave Ayler wearing his St. Louis Blues t-shirt. Mr. Dave Ayler, how are you?
I'm doing good. Had a good weekend.
Good weekend.
Not long enough, but I'll take it.
It is amazing because there's all this anticipation for a 3-day weekend, and it's 4th of July weekend, and you build up. You can't wait for it. Then it's here, and then, as always, whoosh, and it's over. And here we go.
And you have a big crash on the Tuesday coming back.
Yeah. So, oh well. So let's see how everybody's 4th of July weekend was, Dave, starting with you. A good weekend?
Yeah, about the farthest I went from my house was HEB.
Nice.
It's like 2 miles, and the rest of the time spent around the house.
I was very similar. I didn't go do a lot, and that's the way I like it. Shannon, what was the highlight of your 4th of July weekend?
Well, seeing as it rained and was just overcast almost the entire time, I didn't get to lay out by the pool, so that was a bummer. But my dog did place
at the Northwest Hills 4th of July party for Best Dressed. So that was, I mean, I'm proud dog mom.
Very cool. I saw you tweet out a photo of and that would be Shipley.
Yes.
Shipley T Dog.
Yes.
Very cool.
Rocking a red Hawaiian shirt.
Very nice.
In honor of our nation's birthday.
Outstanding. And the reason I threw it to Dave Ayler, because he brought this up before he could have brought up, Shannon, the NBA Finals. He could have brought up the match. He could have brought up the Rachel Nichols controversy. We'll get into that. He could have brought up the big Astros A's series. He brought up none of that. He brought up and apparently he's into it, the Joey Chestnut 14th championship of the Nathan's Famous hot dog eating contest. Dave Ayler, you not only watched it, but you liked it, apparently.
Chris, there's 3 sporting events I watch every year, no matter what. First is the Super Bowl. No matter who's playing, I'll always watch. Number 2, Indy 500. Being a Midwest guy, always watch the Indy 500. And the third, Nathan's Famous hot dog eating contest every year without fail. It's some of the best entertainment you'll ever watch.
So I've always wondered what kind of person tunes in for that every year, and you're that kind of person.
And the only thing better than the competition itself is the introductions that George Shea does at the beginning.
See, I almost never see it live. I see like some highlights. So what's big about the introductions? What's cool about that?
He'll bring them in. Sometimes he does raps about the person coming in. Sometimes he does just goes off. He's the best hype man that anybody could ever have.
Speaking of hype, Shannon, did you see the tweet that Sports Center put out after Joey Chestnut won the Nathan's Famous hot dog eating competition?
I did not.
Okay. Sports Center, a legitimate Twitter account. It's got a blue check mark. They're the ESPN property, Sports Center. They put out a graphic. I'm going to have to retweet this. With the most championship titles in a single event. And they list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in this graphic. Number 1, most championships in a single event, Joey Chestnut with 14 Nathan's Famous championships. Number 2, Rafael Nadal with 13 French Opens. Number 3, 3 tied for third, Margaret Court with 11 Australian Opens, Bill Russell with 11 NBA titles, and Henri Richard with 11 NHL titles. Shannon, I can't believe Sports Center, and I'm assuming this was tongue-in-cheek, but what if it wasn't? What if some intern at Sports Center actually believes that Joey Chestnut should be ranked up there and above Rafael Nadal, Margaret Court, Bill Russell, and Henri Richard? I'm stunned that they would give him this level of run.
My full recap in the shakedown today, because Chris, I actually did watch this. I actually did it to myself.
Oh my God!
Through my fingers, but I'll give you a full recap.
Okay.
Because
what is wrong with you two?
I mean, he's a champion.
I don't think you two can even call yourself Americans if you don't watch the hot dog eating contest.
It's sick. It's gluttony. It's disgusting. It's the worst of who we are as a nation.
Come on.
We're ugly Americans. We're gluttonous. We're wasting.
I don't think
we're
LeBron
pigs.
can eat 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
Say again?
I don't think LeBron James can eat 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
He's got some self-respect.
Oh, please. I've seen his HBO show. He doesn't have any self-respect.
Oh my God! Wow! All right,
both you're just un-American.
No, I maybe this is quintessentially American, but maybe this is what's wrong with America. I would take up that fight. What's wrong with America is the Nathan's Famous hot dog eating competition. That's just. But I could. Hey, maybe I'm in the minority.
It's going on for over 100 years.
Seriously? Is it over 100 years?
Oh, yeah. 1916, something like that.
My God. Congratulations, Joey Chestnut. People were betting. You could bet the field or you could bet Joey. And
the field didn't even come close. I think that second place was.
Yeah, it was like 30-something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It is 6:20. This is back. I think it's back for 4 weeks. the $1,000 grand in your hand cash contest. We're going to do this 12 times a day. And my philosophy, this is why you should do it. Somebody's going to win it. They're giving away with this money a total of $228,000 is going to be given away over the next 4 weeks starting right now. So why the heck not throw your name in the hat and take a shot? We're going to give you a keyword. You're going to text it. We're going to tell you where to text it, and you can win $1,000. Somebody wins $1,000. Here is the contest.
Your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword PAY to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's PAY to 200-200.
Pay to 200-200. We'll do that again at 7:20. We'll do it throughout the day 12 times wherever you're listening to this program, either via AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760, but lots of ways you can get the show. The iHeartRadio app is a beautiful way to get the show. It is crystal clear. Lots of people joining us on Facebook Live as well. Shannon, so many things to talk about. One of them horribly tragic, and I get, at some point we're going to have to talk about it, but a goalkeeper for the Columbus, and I don't know, I'm not a big NHL person, so I can't tell you Columbus specifically. I'll pull it up here in a second, but at a party in Michigan, I guess he was in a hot tub. He was only 24 years old. Matisse Kivlenkis, apparently somebody firing off fireworks, and apparently it was a mortar shell that was fired toward people. And apparently it was a horrible accident, but apparently he died of massive chest injuries that affected his lungs and his heart. And one of the most horrible things I've heard involving a death in the world of sports in quite some time. Just very, very sad.
Yeah, it's the one thing about this 4th of July weekend. I mean, people were still shooting off fireworks in my neighborhood last night. I think a lot of times when you think of like fireworks safety, you're only thinking of the person who's shooting them off and not the fact that there are others around you and you don't know where some of these things are going to head or land once you do shoot them off. And it's unfortunate that every year we have some injuries that are really brutal, and this one just so heartbreaking. 24 years old, just getting started in his NHL career, and this happens.
Yeah, it's the Columbus Blue Jackets. So forgive me for not knowing the Columbus Blue Jackets. I do the best I can. I'm not a big hockey guy, and I know it's the Stanley Cup final, and I do know that it's now 3-1. I do believe, as Montreal did get a win in overtime, 3-2 last night. So Tampa Bay leads that series 3-1 in the Stanley Cup final, but. That pales in comparison to just the tragic story. It happened in Novi, Michigan, Novi, and it was a mortar-style firework tilted slightly, and it started to fire toward people. And apparently this goaltender for the Columbus Blue Jackets, 24-year-old Matisse Kivlenkis, was trying to get out of the way, apparently in a hot tub, and everybody scurried to get out of the way, but apparently he could not get out of the way. And the initial autopsy says that he died from a percussive injury caused by a powerful blast, which caused major damage to his heart and lungs. And just so sad. I mean, here's a guy who did not grow up in this country, who was spending the summer in the United States, who at age 24 had his whole life ahead of him and was, as you mentioned, Shannon, just beginning to, he didn't play a lot. He played in the minor leagues. He had a few games in the NHL. In his debut, it was a victory. And again, just we hate to come back from the 4th of July weekend, and there's so many fun stories and interesting stories like the NBA Finals and the match and the Astros and a big series beginning tonight against the A's. But we have to talk about it, and there it is. And we just wanted to bring that up. And as you mentioned, Shannon, fireworks are fun and everybody has a good time and there's celebration of the 4th of July and they're great. But sadly, there are these accidents that happen. And, this was one of them that certainly affected the sports world.
Yeah, again on a holiday weekend, it's just not something you want to see. I mean, I thought the worst we would ever get from the sports world from 4th of July was something like a Jason Pierre-Paul, right, where part of his finger has been missing ever since that 4th of July incident. So this was just not great. And there were a lot of kind of scary stories on there was a beach somewhere where they were setting up for the 4th of July fireworks and the beach was covered in people that were enjoying the day, and the truck that was housing all the fireworks caught on fire and fireworks just started going off everywhere. People were running. And that's just it. Again, same reason. You don't know where these things are going to land when they come down.
Yeah.
Or where they're going to go when they're shot off. So, yeah, fireworks safety. I myself enjoyed fireworks from a hill at a distance in Austin. It was a good time.
It's not a bad way to do it because, I mean, they are by definition explosive and things can go wrong. All right, coming up. So much going on. The Rachel Nichols controversy, a leaked telephone recording where she is complaining about ESPN giving a gig to Maria Taylor that she thought should have been hers. She opened up a show last night with an apology. We will get into that. Of course, the NBA Finals, the match, Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Phil Mickelson. Who's the other golfer? I think he's kind of a big Bryson DeChambeau, kind of a big deal. We'll get into that. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. Coming up, the high five play of the day. We're going to give a high five to somebody who deserves a high five. You might have heard of him. He did a cool thing. We'll talk about that. Also, a little bit later, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. This day in sports history and sports birthdays, the birthday of someone who played one of the most famous fictional sports characters ever. That dude is having a birthday today. We'll let you know who that is. Lots coming at you. You can join us throughout the morning on the phone lines. Phone number 800-707-9760. Oh, and we know who's going to be on Hard Knocks, and we'll react to that as well. Shannon Salty Sweeney, Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist. I'm Chris. It's the Chris Duel Show. David Valles, Robert Almarez, Sam Tobias, Lucinda Sullivan, Trey and Rose Wilkes, Steve Duraco, Foamfoot 420, Hector Gomez. I think I said Luisa Alanis. If I didn't, I do now. John Williams, Ralph Balderas. John Paul Albert, good morning. Dave Emilio, Castanuela, eat hot dogs like a normal person. Yeah, I just, it ain't my thing, man. I guess I must be un-American if I don't like the hot dog eating competition. And I find it gross and gluttonous and ugly and sick and disgusting. But I do. I can't just bandwagon because I think you might like it. That would be wrong. Jason Paniagua, buenos dias. A todos mis amigos. Coffee time. For the love of God. Necesito caffeine. How do you say caffeine in Spanish? Back in a sec. Clint Proctor, good morning. Robert joins us from YouTube. Welcome back in on a Taco Tuesday. Day one of the NBA Finals, night number one, as they'll get underway tonight. 8 o'clock ABC. Game one at Phoenix. Giannis is doubtful tonight. Sure, his status will be updated throughout the day, but doubtful isn't even questionable, so he is unlikely to play tonight. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty, Sweeney, Dave Ayler is your soundscape stylist. We've already given away the keyword for $1,000 once. We did that at 6:20. We'll do it again at 7:20. Your chance to win $1,000. You'll have 12 chances throughout the day. We're kicking that off again today. Going to do it for a number of weeks. We are streaming a live video, the video feed, a number of ways you can get it on Facebook Live. You can get it through YouTube. You can get it through Twitch. You can join us and a bunch of other peeps on Facebook Live. A little bit later, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, sports birthdays, sports history. Our guest in the 8 o'clock hour, just after 8 o'clock, Tanner Carlson, going to join us. And before and after that with Tanner, we'll talk about HBO and Hard Knocks and the match today, the big golf match, which I believe is 4 o'clock in the Central Time Zone. We will get into that. But right now, it is time for the High Five play of the day. High Five, not just the name of the segment, but also the name of a cool, actually not one, but two cool locations in the Austin area. Shannon, did you make it out to High Five this past weekend?
I did not, but I do know some coworkers who did, and they said they had a wonderful time bowling. High Five, 2 locations in Austin, and of course they bring you the High Five play of the day, which today goes to one Mr. Greg Popovich, and no, not for basketball, but for a very, very kind gesture. Sir, this was floating around the Twitterverse over the weekend, a picture of a check signed by one Greg Popovich in which he left a $1,000 tip at a San Antonio establishment, and he said split it half with the kitchen and half with the wait staff, especially on a holiday weekend when you know a lot of those people probably don't want to be there, right? They'd rather be with family and friends celebrating like so many others. And not only do they get the joy of serving and feeding Mr. Greg Popovich, but he leaves such a kind gratuity on his way out. For those wondering, it was way more than like the 20% tip most people typically get. Because his bill was only $512, which is still a pretty hefty bill in my mind.
Yeah, he probably had a number of people at the table with him, and we know Pop likes to order a nice wine. The restaurant was Silo Elevated Cuisine. There's a few locations in the San Antonio area. This one was downtown. Looking at the check right now at 401 South Alamo Street, and you talk about the gratuity, Shannon, on that $512 bill. You know how a lot of restaurants will calculate the gratuity for you, and they did this on this check. An 18% gratuity would have been $85.14. A 20% gratuity, which is the minimum I leave after being a long-time restaurant employee back in my 20s and a restaurant manager. Unless you like call me names and insult my wife or give the worst service in the world, then I might take it down to 15%. But I start at 20 because I know most people don't even know how to tip and don't know how hard service people and wait personnel work in a restaurant. So the 20% tip would have been $94.60. But as you mentioned, Shannon, Pop gives $1,000, and out to the side, as you said, he writes half goes to the kitchen, half goes to the wait staff. And word about Greg Popovich, Shannon, is he does this a lot. This is a normal occurrence for Pop, which I think is so cool. You know, we hear there are some affluent athletes and actors who notoriously don't tip well. Or at all, yeah, and have stiffed people. And, you know, we should all, when possible, tip well. It's just the right thing to do. People are working hard for you. And if you knew what the base salary was for people in these restaurant gigs, it's not a lot of money. They're working for tips pretty much. And my feeling has always been this, Shannon, if you don't want to tip, or you don't know how to tip, or you don't tip well, or you're against the concept of tipping, then don't eat out. Fix yourself a sandwich. Cook at home, for God's sake, because it's part of the deal.
For the most part, I agree with that, except for places that you used to go to that are now all of a sudden, because everything's electronic and they can add the "do you want a tip" thing, and they have that there now. I'm like, this wasn't here the past 10 years. Where is it coming from? You know, you go to like a self-service type place, so avoid that, and now it's there. And they always start at like 20% now and then go up. I'm like, wait a second. I decide how the service was.
Right.
Not you. You have the control, but in the end, I get the say. But I also love the idea, and I know Greg Popovich is probably like one of the smartest human beings on earth, but just like the thought that like to be that rich and you know, tipping is like a math problem, right? Like I got to take out the calculator.
Yeah.
And I got to find it. And then I got to add things together. So just to say $1,000, like that's pretty easy to add $1,000. So I kind of like the idea that like being that rich, and you're like, just make it 1,000, you know?
Yeah. Very, very cool. And again, as Shannon mentions, and we'll tweet this out, this has been traveling around the internet. So good on Greg Popovich. And, you know, he does this. I'm sure he does this wherever he eats, but, you know, he does it in San Antonio, and I just love it. You know, so some of his money going back into the community and going back towards some hardworking people. So Greg Popovich, way to go, brother. Very, very cool. And Silo Elevated Cuisine, the happy recipients of that Greg Popovich tip. Another big story over the weekend. In fact, I guess it broke on Friday, midday after our show. Shannon, there's been a lot of speculation. We have been speculating. Now we know who will be the NFL team that will be featured on one of my favorite shows. It's always good, even when I don't care about the football team that much. It winds up always being must-see TV, HBO's Hard Knocks. We now know who will be on that show for 5 episodes this training camp.
And I have so many mixed feelings, sir, because as we learned, there were a couple teams that were eligible for this program, and the one they decided to give it to was the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes,
our very own Dallas Cowboys. Of course, there's a lot of great stories, right? The quarterback, the franchise guy, just got this big payday coming back from his injury. You got Zeke, who was a character all in himself, but after a sluggish season last year and all the reports from his trainers that he is more explosive and more fit than ever. That struggling defense, Mike McCarthy year 2, a new defensive coordinator. Of course, Jerry Jones, I'm sure, will be making plenty of appearances. So many storylines, and it's great for us for our jobs, right? Because we are able to talk about the Cowboys that much more in the summer, because we love talking about the show. We both love the show. But as a Cowboys fan, and knowing the history of what teams' outcomes tend to be of that season that they are on Hard Knocks, it's not great. I don't feel good about it. Now, as an optimistic Cowboys fan, I said, we're going to change the narrative. We're going to be the ones that get the Super Bowl. We're going to be the ones that are going to reverse the curse, which is going to be great. But as great as this is going to be for our summer, it could be a dreadful season for Cowboys fans.
And Shannon, I believe in jinxes. Obviously, I believe in the Sports Illustrated jinx. I believe in the
Madden curse.
I believe in the Dallas Cowboys blue jersey jinx, and it never fails. And I'm upfront about my belief in these jinxes, Shannon. And so when the Cowboys will win a game in a blue jersey, or when a team will beat they're on the cover of Sports Illustrated and they win the next week, I'll always get a tweet or 5 going, see, Cowboys played in the blue jerseys and they won. Well, a jinx is not 100%. A jinx is a trend. Teams that are on there was a team, I think, in the last 5 Hard Knocks seasons that did go to the playoffs. It can happen. Just because one team does, you don't say, oh, there's no jinx. Well, a jinx is a trend, and clearly there is a trend for teams that appear on Hard Knocks. Things tend to go badly for that team. And I mean, what was it, 2 years ago when Antonio Brown and the I guess then at the time, the Oakland Raiders, now the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, everything imploded for that team starting with Antonio Brown, and it looked so good going into that season, and there were high hopes for the Raiders. And so it's probably going to go bad for the Cowboys. But like you go into it going, hey, we're going to be the ones. We're going to transcend this curse. We're going to be okay. So, and I mean, Hard Knocks is so good. And it comes at a time when we are so starved for football. And I just remember the previous 2 times the Dallas Cowboys were on Hard Knocks. One of those times I was there in Oxnard covering the Cowboys, which was cool, seeing all the Hard Knocks cameras out there several years ago back. That was in the TO era, as I recall. I'm not that freaked out about it. I'm not convinced this means the Cowboys are going to have a god awful season. I'm actually, if I were allowed, and let me ask you this after I tell you, Shannon, if they let me make the call, I would have picked the Cowboys just because I'm selfish and I want to see more Cowboys. I would have been okay and trusted that they could transcend the Hard Knocks jinx. If the decision were up to you, Shannon, as a Cowboys fan, would you have selected the Cowboys or would you have deferred to another team because of the jinx?
I probably would have deferred, but at this point, I don't know who I would do. Because you're right, the Cowboys are the perfect team. And I think what I love most about Hard Knocks is that we continue to reference what we've seen on seasons before, in terms of what teams are doing now. And you mentioned the Raiders and what Antonio Brown looks like there. And now he's a Super Bowl championship winner with another team. And then we have the Bucks on a few years ago, and that team is completely different, top to bottom, coaching staff, players, all of it, from what they were on that Hard Knocks to the Super Bowl champions that they are from last year. And then we have the Browns, who it was Baker Mayfield's first year, right? It was, the same narrative we had always heard of, this is the quarterback. This is the guy that's going to get us there. And then they go out and have a bad season. But you look at that team now and what they did last year and the improvements they've made, the huge jump, considering they are the Browns. They still have a lot of those core guys from that season. So in the future, we may look back on this and be like, man, none of those people are on the team anymore. Or, man, look where they started and look where they are now for this franchise. So for that, it's great. I am excited because it is more Cowboys. It is more football. But dang it, I do not want that jinx to especially in the year where we now have 17 games, right? We can't go 8-8.
No.
But watch the Cowboys be the first to go 0-17 and make history or something horrible. We don't need it. We don't need it. So however the bad juju comes in, keep it out. Okay. I don't know what you need to do. But I don't know what player, because they're gonna mic up Dak, they're gonna mic up Zeke.
Yeah.
What other player do you want to see mic'd up here?
Micah Parsons as a rookie, and so much is expected of him as such a high draft pick. I'm sensing he's a dynamic player and a future leader of this team. They often follow rookies. They tend, as you know, Shannon, to follow a rookie who's on the bubble. So you might see that guy get cut. But I think they can also follow another bubble rookie. I kind of, because like you, I'm assuming Zeke and Dak are going to get a lot of airtime. So Micah Parsons, I think, would be cool to mic up.
Yeah, and he'd be a good defensive side because so many of the personalities I feel like are on the offense. And are you cool with Jerry appearing a lot?
Yeah. He's like a train wreck. He's like a circus show, and he wants the spotlight. So why not? He's part of the package. So yeah, exactly. Now, it's funny you brought up the Cleveland Browns, Shannon, and that went so bad the year they were on Hard Knocks. I do believe their coach, Hugh Jackson, didn't even survive the season. I think Hugh Jackson was fired during that season. It went so badly.
I just remember the meeting he had with the coaches, and he's like, I'm in this seat, you're in that seat. And I know you've been in this seat before, but I'm in this seat. And from that moment, you were like, do the countdown clock. Just start ticking, because he's not going to be here much longer.
and I'm forgetting the specifics, but then Hugh Jackson went to another team midseason that the Cleveland Browns played. Yeah, and like Baker was kind of a jerk to him. Baker was kind of like in your face after a touchdown, and it was just weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, Baker, not exactly the best guy in the world.
That's what he's known for, right?
Yeah, exactly. Come on, Baker, get it together. All right, coming up. We will talk more about the NBA Finals. We got to get into the Rachel Nichols controversy. Yet another, sadly, when you're having a phone conversation, you got to just assume someone else might be listening. Kind of came back to bite Rachel Nichols. Then there was an apology, and it's still awkward. And oh, by the way, ESPN doing a lot of coverage along with ABC television of these NBA Finals. Rachel Nichols in a controversy talking about Maria Taylor and her getting a gig that Rachel Nichols had. We'll get into that, NBA Finals, football, and more. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. He's Dave Ayler. I'm Chris with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. All right, let's do this. Cody Webb, welcome in. Cody, I do not know the answer to that. Cody, I'm not an engineer. I just talk into the stick. I don't know. I have heard that before. If we could figure out a way to boost Shannon's audio, we would. So we've got 2 poll questions for you today, because we can have as many poll questions as we want. So one is, who's going to win the NBA Finals? And the other, are you concerned as a Cowboys fan that being on Hard Knocks will doom the Cowboys season? Let me see here. Robert rode his bicycle to the Missions game on $2 Thursday. That's amazing. Jorge says NBA playoffs, who cares? I think a lot of people care. Be nicer if the Spurs were in it, but you got new blood in there, which I think is cool. For so long, it was... I saw some stat on LeBron and Steph Curry and how it was one of those guys in it every year for the last several years. Often both. Fonzie J. Rodriguez, good morning. Joe Kelly for president. Not a big Joe Kelly fan. Fonzie, as you know. Surprised you're not repping Trevor Bauer. Fonzie, do you have a Trevor Bauer jersey?
Now, Chris Duel.
On a rain-swept Tuesday morning for a lot of our listening area, welcome in. It is the Chris Duel Show along with Shannon Salty Sweeney on this Taco Tuesday, get back to work Tuesday after the 4th of July weekend with all kinds of stuff going on in the world of sports, including the NBA Finals opening up tonight. That'll be 8 o'clock on ABC, game number 1 at Phoenix as the Phoenix Suns take on the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak, is listed as doubtful for tonight's game number 1. We shall see. The match, we haven't gotten into that a lot yet this morning. I'm sure we will. Certainly we will in an hour because we talk golf in addition to talking football with Tanner Carlson, who's going to join us in studio here coming up in about an hour, just after 8 o'clock. Of course, the match, Phil Mickelson teaming with Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers teaming with Bryson DeChambeau. I believe that's a 4 o'clock start in the Central Time Zone, which I thought was weird, Shannon. But I guess, and I think it's in Montana. So I guess if that was East Coast, I would think a 5 p.m. start for 18 holes would take you into darkness. But I guess if you're in Big Sky country, if you're further west, I guess maybe you get in 18 holes before sunset. So I just thought, I assumed it was going to be earlier in the day.
Yeah. Interesting, but I do get why. I mean, they want more people to watch it, right? And
Yeah.
Day, so putting it in the evening. What time do the finals start?
Finals 8 o'clock.
Okay, so they
So you could do both.
They shouldn't overlap too much there. You're not really having to choose, I would think.
Very cool. So NBA Finals, the match I mentioned earlier, it's a big 3-game series for the Houston Astros beginning tonight at Minute Maid Park. Astros taking on the Oakland A's. The A's and the Astros have been battling throughout the season for several weeks. The Oakland A's were in first place in the AL West just recently. The Astros have overtaken them. Astros swept the Cleveland Indians in Cleveland over the weekend. And so now 3 games beginning tonight against the Oakland A's. The Astros open the night with a 3.5 game lead over the A's. So an opportunity for either the A's to really tighten this race or the Astros to really extend their lead on the Oakland A's if the Astros could win 2 or all 3 of these games. And then before the All-Star break, after the 3-game series with the Oakland A's, the Astros will have 3 games at home against the New York Yankees, who are kind of floundering this season. And back to the finals for a moment, Shannon, one of the stories now in the NBA Finals, and I'm sure ESPN didn't want it this way, and I'm sure Rachel Nichols didn't want it this way, and I'm sure Maria Taylor didn't want it this way. But over the weekends, originally reported by the New York Times and an audio originally released by the New York Times where Rachel Nichols is complaining that Maria Taylor, who is African-American, would get some of the studio responsibilities that previously belonged to Rachel Nichols. And Rachel Nichols was, citing ESPN's bad record when it comes to diversity, and that if they're going to try to, in Rachel Nichols' words, look better when it comes to diversity, that they shouldn't be, taking away her gig to give someone else a gig. Kind of a bad look for Rachel Nichols, certainly a bad look for ESPN. And my understanding is that after these NBA finals, Maria Taylor's contract is up. So going to be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, the way things have been going in the sports broadcasting world, it wouldn't be too surprising if a Fox swooped in and snatched her up. With Rachel Nichols, she was in Florida in the bubble doing quarantine and was dealing with the new technology that was broadcasting from a remote location, did not realize that her computer mic was still on. Someone at ESPN had access to it, listened to it, and decided to share that with the world, which is unfortunate no matter what the conversation was or is about. But unfortunately, that was what was said. And, it sucks, like being a woman or a woman in sports. There's already so many limited opportunities.
Yeah.
And there's so many few women that I do think it's hard to separate. Okay, you want to cheer someone on, you want to cheer someone up, but when you see a male, there's plenty of opportunities like that for a male, but for a woman, there's only one. And I think to Rachel's point was it was in her contract that she was supposed to have that gig. And I guess for whatever reason, they decided to go with Maria Taylor. I enjoy them both.
Yeah. So do I.
Being in that role. So I don't really have a preference, but it is unfortunate that this narrative is now overshadowing the Bucks Suns finals series going into night 1.
Yeah. And there's a show, I guess it's on ESPN, called The Jump.
Yes.
That Rachel Nichols opened with an apology, kind of a short apology. And then the other 2 guys on the panel, one of whom was Richard Jefferson, Kendrick Perkins was the other one, kind of jumped in. And when you look at that video, they were, they were kind of obviously like us, Shannon. They're on both sides, and both of them being African-American, Kendrick Perkins and Richard Jefferson. Obviously, they're sensitive to, Maria Taylor being brought into this mess. But as they spoke, they said, we know Rachel Nichols, we accept her apology, we understand it, but we also know, and we're big fans of Maria Taylor. So those guys kind of caught in the middle of this as well. Just a lot of people uncomfortable at ESPN right now.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's a little more angst on Rachel's side, just because Maria Taylor is also part of the ESPN game day crew. So during football season, right, she's always traveling, and she's the one that kind of also interacts with the fans. So I guess if you're Rachel Nichols, you may be feeling some type of way because she's already part of that group, and then she's turning to basketball season, which you have the jump, which you host, and you're part of all these basketball broadcasts, and you maybe feel like she's now getting more opportunity than you. I don't know. Again, it's just a really weird spot for all of them, and ESPN also in a weird spot right now with the outsider perspective of they don't do diversity hiring very well, or they make moves to say, look how diverse we are, and then that doesn't go well, right? There was the Sports Center 6 a couple years ago with oh gosh, Janelle, right?
Jamel Hill.
Jamel Hill and
yeah.
And I think it was Michael, and people felt like that was ESPN being like, here you go. But there was no prep. It was all just kind of thrown together, and they didn't get to do the thing that made them great on their other show. And so that ended up fizzling out. So, I think there's blame on both sides here for Rachel and ESPN.
Yeah, and for Rachel Nichols in that recording that you cited, Shannon, not only she's talking to a confidant,
right?
As we all, you got to talk to somebody about what's going on at work, and it was a private conversation, and so clearly that was an intrusion, or certainly, it was recorded. She didn't know it was going out there to other people who could listen. But part of what she says, in addition to saying, hey, why is she getting this gig? This is my gig. And she does cite, you mentioned Maria Taylor having a football gig. She said, she's got football. She's got this. Why does she need, this show that I was the host of on the panel show? But she also slams ESPN. She also says, nobody knows better than I do as a woman, that ESPN has its problems when it comes to diversity. So not only did she kind of step in it with regard to her colleague, Maria Taylor, but she also, disparages ESPN and its record on diversity. So yeah, not a delightful weekend. And it's being reported by the New York Times, and that audio is out there. So, and not a good weekend for Rachel Nichols or ESPN.
Yeah, and if I'm Maria Taylor, I would like to be excused from the narrative, please. I mean, her stock is definitely rising now, but she's just kind of the center of all of this, and yet really doesn't have anything. She's just doing her job. She hasn't stepped in it in any way. I don't know if she's mentioned this since this all kind of blew up, which good for her.
Yeah. Stay above the fray. Now, it's interesting. Our good buddy and former lead-in, Clay Travis, I saw him tweet that he believes that video was, this is from Clay Travis, he believes that audio was leaked by Maria Taylor, that her contract is up at the end of the finals, and she is doing this as a negotiating ploy. And there you have it from conspiracy theorist Clay Travis. I don't agree with that, but it is interesting that that's out there. And I thought Clay was busy doing his new Rush Limbaugh show with Buck Sexton, but apparently Clay Travis finds a controversy and perhaps a conspiracy theory involving this story.
Yeah, I don't think Maria has the time to things she covers or would care.
Right.
To do that. Again, it's this like, in a way, because it's Rachel Nichols who said this. And again, Maria has not said anything about this at all. The media is now pitting two women against each other.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
And that's just not the case. Hate it for Maria, but also you go, girl. If you get a giant contract out of this at the end of the year, good on you.
Yeah, it's going to be very fascinating to see, does ESPN make this right with Maria Taylor and give her a bigger contract, or as you suggest, Shannon, will Fox or somebody like that come in and swoop up Maria Taylor? And what happens for the future of Rachel Nichols? I mean, I don't know the status of her contract, but obviously the part of this where she disparages ESPN's record on diversity. There's probably some executives at ESPN who are not feeling a lot of love for Rachel Nichols at the moment.
She better hope she has receipts if they come knocking at her door. I'm sure they're out there, but
Yeah. And as we say this, oh, by the way, Robert Almara says Shannon Salty Taylor should get one of those gigs. You should either get the Maria Taylor gig or the Rachel Nichols gig, which would be cool.
Made for TV.
Woo!
Radio now.
Woo!
My time to shine.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out for both of these ladies and where it goes. And as we mentioned, that kind of not completely, but I won't say it overshadows tonight's game one of the NBA Finals, but it is certainly out there. It's certainly a part of the narrative. And Shannon, I think you and I both agree in my little graphic that I have on our video, on the video feed. I have Suns in 6. I think especially with Giannis hurting and doubtful for tonight's game one. And if he ever does come back in this series, I don't think he'll be at 100%. I wish, and it would be a lot of fun because these are both fun teams to watch and a lot of excitement. And it's new blood in the NBA Finals, which I think is cool. And Phoenix has never won an NBA Finals. Milwaukee, it's been about forever. It was back in 1971 with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Oscar Robertson playing for the Bucks when they last won a title and won their only NBA Finals. But I think Phoenix might have won this anyway, even with Milwaukee at full strength, if Giannis was at full strength. And they're red hot and they're on a roll, but with Giannis hurting and right now doubtful for game one, I don't know how you pick against the Phoenix Suns in this series.
Yeah, I like the Suns, and selfishly just hope that this series goes on as long as it can to take us up as close as it can to the start of the Olympics, so I don't have a dead period.
So the dark ages don't kick in.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if it's only for a couple days.
Yeah. But and as a Spurs fan, there's more Spurs representation on the Bucks. I would like the Bucks to win this. Mike Budenholzer, the longest tenured Greg Popovich assistant, of course. Monty Williams, the head coach of the Phoenix Suns, has some Spurs ties as well. Has spent some time, a couple of times, with the Spurs organization. But again, part of the narrative, Shannon, for the Milwaukee Bucks. They've been left for dead a few times during these playoffs. I mean, I was at 2-0 Brooklyn Nets annihilating the Bucks in games 1 and game 2 of that series. I mean, I was already counting Mike Budenholzer as dead man walking for the Milwaukee Bucks and wondering if Greg Popovich was going to give him a gig when he was fired by the Bucks. Obviously, now that he's gotten them to the finals, I would certainly believe he is safe, and that's not going to happen. But it'll be interesting to see if the Bucks can continue to kind of shock the world in another series where they are not expected to win.
Yeah, and again, I mentioned at the top, I wouldn't hate on it. PJ Tucker being a Longhorn and being on that Bucks team would be fun to see him win. And I'd love to see Mike Budenholzer get a raise after we thought he was down and out. Just now walk out with a bigger paycheck.
All right. I'm a little late for this. It happens. We aspire to do this at 6:20 and at 7:20. We're back into this this week, and we'll be doing it for a few weeks now. It is the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. In fact, we'll do it right here 12 times throughout the day, every weekday. Somebody's going to win the money over the next 4 weeks. $228,000 in cash will be given away. Somebody's going to win that money. You may as well grab some. You're going to get a keyword right now. You're going to text that keyword. We'll tell you where to text it. Here it is, the Grand in Your Hand cash contest.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword SMILE to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's SMILE to 200-200.
SMILE to 200-200. Good luck. And again, if you don't win right now, or if you want to play again throughout the day. Each time you play, you have a shot at $1,000. So you can and you should play multiple times. So you will get 12 chances throughout the day on the 20s, unless some guy like me is running a little bit late like I just was. But we will give you that opportunity. So, yeah, Shannon, like you, and again, I don't have a huge rooting interest in this other than what I always do if the Spurs are no longer involved is who has the most Spurs ties. That would be the Milwaukee Bucks with Mike Budenholzer. Bryn Forbes, who has been a three-point ace for the Milwaukee Bucks, came into the NBA as a rookie and played a number of years with the Spurs. Chad Forcier is an assistant coach who was a longtime assistant under Greg Popovich as well, who, along with Chip England, Chad Forcier was a great player development coach for the Spurs. And Chad's significant other, Cassandra Lazenby, is a friend who went to my high school. So I would like Cassandra, the significant other of Chad Forcier, to be happy. In fact, her birthday was yesterday on Facebook. I told her happy birthday, and I said Bucks in 6, which is what I'm hoping for, Shannon, but I'm picking Suns in 6, which is kind of makes me a weasel. It's like my head says Suns in 6, and that's my actual pick. But I would like, if the Bucks are going to win it, I don't think you're going to win a game 7 in Phoenix. So the Bucks would have to find a way to win in Milwaukee, and that's where game number 6 would be. So we shall see.
Current betting line for tonight, Suns favored by 6.
6 are wild.
Yeah.
Suns in 6.
That may go up half a point or so when we get an official word that Giannis, I would think, is going to be out tonight.
Yeah, I think he's doubtful. If he's doubtful, I think you hold him out for tonight. And doubtful doesn't sound good. The next game is going to be Thursday night, game number 2 at Phoenix. So if a guy is doubtful on a Tuesday night, is he going to miraculously be ready to play and be ready to play at full strength? I sincerely doubt that for game number 2 on Thursday night. So he's going to continue to, be a storyline and an issue throughout these finals. We're going to have to see, if he even does play at all. Of course, we've talked about him throughout the NBA playoffs, Shannon. A lot of responsibility, I guess your star, if Giannis is out, would be Chris Middleton of the Bucks, who has proven me wrong time and time again as we came into the playoffs. I said Chris Middleton is not as good of a number 2 as certainly, for LeBron James, Anthony Davis was, other number 2s as Batman and Robin. And Chris Middleton, although he's not been consistent, a number of times he's put up some big games. They're going to need a lot of big games from Chris Middleton starting tonight for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, he's been pretty up and down. And when he's up, he's up. But it does make it easier to game plan for him when you have no Giannis on the floor next to him. So that will be a huge advantage for the Suns going to this. And then PJ Tucker has also kind of been up and down. He's more of a defensive guy, but if they know how to work around him, I think the Suns will be okay.
8:00 tonight, ABC NBA Finals. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. Also this day in sports history. And among the sports birthdays, a sports fictional character, but a pretty big sports fictional character. The man who created that sports fictional character and the man who played that sports fictional character having a milestone birthday today. If you don't know who that is, we'll let you know who that is coming up. Dave Ayler is your soundscape stylist. Just after 8:00, we'll go deeper into the match, which takes place today. Tom Brady, Phil Mickelson, Bryson DeChambeau, Aaron Rodgers, and we'll talk some more Dallas Cowboys. And does Tanner Carlson believe in the Hard Knocks jinx? And coming up, since we haven't told you what they are yet, not 1, but 2 poll questions today. We'll let you know what those are coming up in the next segment as well. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney, Dave Ayler making the show go. I'm Chris with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Smoke on the water. Fire in the sky. Thank you, Paul Lamb. I'll take a look at that link, Paul. Thank you. Well, that's loud. It's so loud. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Oh, no. Oh, that sucks. What, do we live in Baghdad? Luisa says, go Bucks, go. Hello, Taro Kotani, the greatest international Spurs fan. Taro, are you going to the Olympics, man? You going to go watch Pop and Team USA? I think if you're local, if he got tickets, Jason, they're allowing Japanese citizens to go. Not so much if you're a foreigner, you can't go, is my understanding. Of course, Taro would know more about that than I would. Good morning, Beth Settle. Taro says, yes, I got 4 tickets to men's basketball games. Don't know which country yet, but the government is now considering no audience in the arenas. Wow. Taro, we might have to make you our Tokyo Olympics correspondent, especially for basketball, and especially if you go to any of the games, and especially if you go to a Team USA game. So we would love to get you on the show. And I know the time change makes it difficult. So if it, did you get that music for, okay. And I'll make it clear. I'll go, but the biggest birthday is, and then hit it. I have no idea. Let me take a look. I'll take a look. There was something up, and I don't know what it is, but it's no longer up. Dean Stone, good morning. Got to get to the opening lyrics here. Because there's a San Antonio reference, of course. I'm a homer. What can I tell you? Chris Duel show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. And we are now moments away from her saltiness laying down this morning's Salty Shakedown. You've made it through a long, difficult, or maybe not so difficult. Hopefully you had a good time. 4th of July weekend without a Salty Shakedown. And you shall be rewarded justly with a Salty Shakedown coming up. Before that, sports birthdays. As I've been telling you, a fictional sports character, or at least the man who created that fictional sports character, having a milestone birthday today. But before that, how about this day in sports history? July 6th, 1929. Dave Ayler wasn't alive, but if he was, he'd have been happy because his St. Louis Cardinals set the Major League Baseball record with 28 runs on 28 hits in a 28-6 win over the Philadelphia Phillies. Wow. Take that, Phillies. 28 runs on 28 hits. On this day in 1957, Wimbledon women's tennis, Althea Gibson becomes the first African-American female athlete to win at Wimbledon. She beat Darlene Hard, but it wasn't that hard. 6-3, 6-2. Pretty easy for Althea Gibson on this day in 1957. On this day in 1986, it was the 100th Wimbledon men's tennis championship. Germany's Boris Becker defends his title, beating Yvonne Lendl 6-4, 6-3, 7-5. I got one more Wimbledon for you. On this day in 2002, the women's tennis championship, Serena Williams beats her older sister, Venus Williams, 7-6, 6-3 for her first Wimbledon singles tennis title. Way to go, Serena. And finally, on this day in 2020, 1 year ago today, Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes agrees to the largest contract for an athlete in sports history, signing a 12-year deal that could wind up being worth $503 million, to which Dak Prescott said, "Hold my beer." Congratulations, Patrick Mahomes. Dak, deliver the goods. Don't go Tony Romo or Danny White on us, Dak. We expect a Super Bowl or 6 from you. That is sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1954, that would be July 6th, 1954. Major League Baseball second baseman and manager Willie Randolph. Born in Holly Hill, South Carolina. Born on this day in 1968, former Dallas Cowboy wide receiver, had a big catch in the NFC Championship game against the 49ers in 92 from Troy Aikman. Alvin Harper, born on this day in 1968 in Lake Wales, Florida. Born on this day in 1980, Pau Gasol, Spanish basketball player. Lakers, Spurs, Bucks, Bulls. Pau Gasol was born in Barcelona, Spain. Born exactly 20 years after Pau Gasol. Born on this day in the year 2000, American basketball power forward, probably future Hall of Famer if he stays healthy. Number 1 overall, number 1 draft pick in 2019, New Orleans Pelican, Zion Williamson, born in Salisbury, North Carolina on this day in the year 2000. But the biggest birthday of all today is pregnant pause. There it is. Sylvester Stallone, a.k.a. Rocky. Sylvester Stallone, born on this date in 1946. That makes Sylvester Stallone, creator of, actor in Rocky, 75 years old. He was born appropriately in Hell's Kitchen, New York. There's actually, Shannon, there's a town called Hell's Kitchen, New York. It's got to be a tough town.
I think I've been in that
wow.
area.
I mean, if you're playing the Hell's Kitchen if you play football or any sport and your town is Hell's Kitchen, you better be tough. That's all I'm saying. Sylvester's full name, he was born Sylvester Enuzio Stallone. Middle name Enuzio. I'll bet you didn't know that. I didn't know that.
It works though.
Yeah, it was Sylvester Enuzio. Enuzio from Hell's Kitchen. Happy 75th birthday, Sylvester Stallone. As a guy who saw the original Rocky movie as a kid, yo, Adrian, to know that Sylvester Stallone is 75 now, yep, I'm pretty old myself. Those are your sports birthdays. That's your sports history. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Rocky Balboa fans, here it is, your Taco Tuesday edition of the Salty Shakedown.
All right, I want to talk some Joey Chestnut because from our conversation on Friday, I am not big into watching grown men shovel food into their face for sport. I find it disgusting. Then they wet the bread. A gentleman shoving more than one hot dog into his mouth at one time should not be anything someone should ever have to witness. Yet, due to the poor weather in Central Texas, the will it, won't it rain that seems to last throughout the weekend, and the deliciousness that is my body, so I stay inside to avoid, as the mosquitoes like to eat on me. I happen to be tuned into the Joey Chestnut Championship once again because I don't know why the other people show up. It's kind of like making Simone Biles compete in the Olympic trials. We already know what's going to happen. Just give her the medal and move on already. But Joey Chestnut, nevertheless, down to 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes, breaking his own world record, getting his 14th championship. The next closest eater only had 50, Chris. And I know that he's a true competitor, right? Because he wanted to beat his own record. He already knew he was going to beat everybody else. He could have stopped at 51, which he had with like 4 minutes remaining. He could have ridden that one out. But much like Dave mentioned, I had never really watched it before. I just kind of always caught the end of it and like, oh, okay, he won again. They have legit ESPN announcers. I think it was Michael Jr. on the call. talking about stress, and it's so disgusting. That paired with them downing all of this food. And then I couldn't handle it. I know you didn't watch it live, but did you see any of the post-match interviews, sir?
I did not. I try to avoid it. Like you, I'm not a fan, but tell me, what did I miss?
I was afraid, and I don't know if this is a thing that happens if he has to go kind of purge himself of what he just took in, but his face the whole time was just like, get me out of here because I'm uncomfortable. And I imagine he would be. I don't know what the strategy is after that, and I don't know now how much he has left in him. Does he now want to keep going? Does he want to expand the number of championships he has from the next closest single sport player in the history of the world, or does he ride off into the sunset on the Oscar Mayer Wiener with 14 championships from eating hot dogs? I don't know, but whatever it is, I cannot believe it is a nationally televised event each year. It seems to get bigger and bigger. Last year, obviously, no fans in the stands thanks to COVID. This year, the fans, it was filled with people. Who buys tickets to go see people eat food? I don't.
Dave Haler, if he could go. Dave, is that on your bucket list? Is someday to be a adoring fan at Coney Island in the stand?
Hot dog hats.
I love those hot dog hats, and it'd only be fun if you were in the splash zone, which is right there in front of the stage.
Okay, wow. Okay, moving on. No.
And they moved into the stadium this year. Usually, it's right in front of the Nathan's hot dog stand and Surf and Stillwell on Coney Island, but they had to move it to the baseball stadium so everybody could spread out.
Moving on to the West Coast.
Spending some time in LA during off season. The 26-year-old Bulls shooting guard made headlines when he walked into this shoe store called Swish Studios LA. Chris, I know you're not as big into shoes.
I'm not.
I love me some good pairs of sneakers. However, I am cheap, so I study them and I find the right pair. And I have to survey the prices and see if I can get the best deal. But a lot of these shoes, I mean, they go for $200 plus just for a pair of Nike Air Jordans. It's crazy expensive. So there were some kids, they were looking at the shoes. They probably weren't going to buy anything, right? They were just looking because it's cool to look at all those shoes that these stores have. But Zach Levine was there, and he came through. And for every kid that was in the store that day, he bought them a pair of shoes. I think it's one of those great stories that reminds me of Shaq. He didn't have to do it. Kids weren't asking for it, but he surprised them. They will probably hold on to those shoes for the rest of their lives, even after they go out of them. Wouldn't you think?
I love it. And, we talked about Greg Popovich on the high five play of the day, leaving the $1,000 tip at a restaurant. Zach Levine, very cool, man. I love that he did this.
So I pose this question to you. If someone like that were to walk in and say, I'll buy you one thing from the store, whatever you want, prices no matter. Do you get the shoe you were originally looking for? Are you thinking, okay, I don't want to spend too much of their money, so I like this shoe too, and it's cheaper? Or do you go find the most expensive pair and say, this one?
It's Zach Levine, and he's gotten multi-millions of dollars, and he offered. So I go get the most expensive item. Yeah.
Back.
Absolutely.
There you go. All right, well, good on Zach Levine. It's awesome that he did that in LA, right? He's a Chicago guy. So it's nice to see he's doing it for the LA kids. He may have won over some Bulls fans.
Cool.
He may have crossed over some Lakers and Clippers fans. Who knows? All right, keeping it in the world of sports, we're going to talk a little entertainment here. Kurt Warner, he's getting his own biopic. For those that don't know, he released an autobiography called All Things Possible. So this movie will be loosely based on that. It's going to be released this December 10th. Now, we got a lot of movies coming out this year that were delayed due to COVID, right? We've got Top Gun Maverick. We're finally going to get the next James Bond, among other things. So there's going to be some stiff competition, especially when we roll into the holiday season. This movie will star Zachary Levi, who I think is best known for playing Shazam, as well as Dennis Quaid, who is best known for being a pain in the butt. I don't know how interesting this movie is. I don't know how blockbuster worthy this is. You know a little bit more about Kurt Warner's career. Obviously, he had a pretty spectacular one, considering where he started and where he ended. But is this a movie that you think you'll be paying whatever the cost of a ticket is these days, like $50 to go watch a movie? I don't know. Where are you going to see this one?
I've always loved the Kurt Warner story, Shannon. A guy who played in the Arena League for the Iowa Barnstormers, a guy who, before he became an NFL quarterback and after college, was bagging groceries at a grocery store and never gave up on his dream. You know, we were talking about Sylvester Stallone and Rocky, the Rocky Balboa story. I think the closest thing you have to the Rocky Balboa story in the NFL is Kurt Warner, just because he was a quarterback. And not only does he make it to the NFL and start as a quarterback, he wins the darn Super Bowl, and he takes 2 teams to the Super Bowl, and he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I hope it's good. It may or may not be, but I will watch this. I will I stream things these days because I'm lazy, because they show up on streaming. But if I need to go to a theater, I'll go see it in a theater. I hope it's good, and I love that they're making a movie of it.
Right, December 10th is the release day as of now. And finally today, I do want to get into this because I saw this as a headline over the holiday weekend. We joke a lot about the taco war, right? Because you, Chris, are in the San Antonio studios.
Yes.
I'm in the Austin studios. You can hear us all along that I-35 corridor. But there's an actual taco competition between San Antonio and Austin happening on July 15th in San Antonio. Taco Rumble. From the newly formed San Antonio Food and Wine Alliance and HEB, they put this together. Texas Taco Battle bragging rights for the year. It's going to take place. Now, I looked at the Austin places that are going to be competing. I've never heard of them. It's not good or bad. It just may show you where I am at in my taco life right now. But we will have an official winner come July 15th. So something else to get on your calendar. That's it. Today's Salty Shakedown.
Outstanding Salty Shakedown. It was worth the 3-day wait, Shannon, over the 4th of July weekend. And I will even admit, Shannon, this sounds weird to me, this Taco Rumble, that you would have it in San Antonio. There should probably, I think there should be it should be best 2 out of 3. There should be 1 in San Antonio, 1 in Austin, and if it goes to a 3rd and final Taco Rumble, that should probably be midpoint. I guess exit 200, maybe at the San Marcos outlet stores. I don't know. Maybe at the Buc-ee's at exit 191 or something like that. I think it's unfair. I want San Antonio to demonstrate its taco greatness, but I don't want there to be any. I don't want Clay Travis saying this was an unfair taco competition. All right. So that how can you not at least have at least 1 round of this in Austin?
Yeah, it should be interesting. And maybe they'll do, this year it's in San Antonio, and then if we have another one, it'll be in Austin, because it does look like a fun event that if I was in the area, I would get tickets to go test tacos.
Yeah.
I don't care what city it's from. If it's delicious, it's delicious. And
yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we all want. We all just want a delicious taco.
Yes, and it's a fun dispute, and it's a fun competition.
Oh yeah.
And I love it, and they should really, we talk about something ridiculous like Joey Chestnut and the hot dog eating competition. Obviously, I would not want a taco eating competition like that, but to claim, I'd love for them and especially HEB in both markets, I'd love for HEB to make this a big deal and make it a big annual championship between Austin and San Antonio. I think it's a fun thing to put on and hopefully make it a big deal.
Or even if you could somehow, they have the HEB products, and a lot of them they're like, the family grown, and they've been picked by, like, the winner of the taco should be sold in HEB stores for the year.
Ooh.
The best taco, so that way everyone can enjoy.
That's a great idea. In fact, yes. Well, and during the pandemic, there's a great taco joint, and it's a big deal in San Antonio called La Gloria. And during the pandemic, a lot of these restaurants started putting their food, packaging it, and putting it out at HEB because restaurants were closed down. So now San Antonio HEB sells La Gloria tacos. So I think it's a brilliant idea, and they should have the best from Austin and the best from San Antonio and sell them both in both markets so we can sample them for ourselves.
I don't know who's officially running this thing, but I think Chris and I just invited ourselves.
Yes.
For you to allow us to come and eat the tacos.
I agree. You will be the Austin representative. I will be the San Antonio representative. I like it. I like it a lot. And on a Taco Tuesday, perfect salty shakedown story for a Taco Tuesday. Coming up, we will reveal our poll questions, plural. There's more than one today, and we will pose those questions to Shannon Salty Sweeney and to our next guest, Tanner Carlson. Tan Man, the Monkey Man, is going to join us next. His thoughts on the Cowboys and the big jinx that may have befallen them. That and a whole lot more coming up on the Chris Duel Show. All right. 1 hour left. Apparently it is raining like crazy in San Antonio right now. Don't know about Austin, but I'm watching the local San Antonio weather.
Hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
You still got something turned on or something? Because I'm hearing you talk to the people on Facebook through my Foxborough pod, and when I talk to you on the talk back here,
Yeah.
I hear an echo come back to me.
Right now, there's nothing else up. It is only the only thing up, and it's currently off, is my mic one. Earlier, there was something up when you asked me, but yeah, I did. When I was talking about the Rocky thing to you, I was able. I heard an echo in my own ear at that point.
I'm hearing an echo when you talk to me on when you hit the talkback button.
I'm not sure what that is. Okay. All right. I'll get out of your way.
This is why.
What is it? That's always up. That's
It should only be an EX1.
okay.
That might be it. Let me try that.
What was it before that?
It was right here. This was lit up right here.
I
don't know what that means,
Okay.
but I know you're supposed to set the board up just like mine. And
Okay.
Let me go try it.
Okay.
Try it now.
Here it is. Any difference?
No.
No. Okay. That's so weird because everything else is the way it usually is. Yeah, as Shannon mentioned earlier, and Warren is having a sound problem. iHeartRadio app, it's crystal clear. If you want to sample that for audio, since apparently the audio is less than ideal in here this morning for some reason. Yeah, Warren, I don't know what causes the echo. I don't know what causes the sound differential. It's so weird. Again, the only thing that I can suggest is if you listen on the iHeartRadio app, I mean, you could still theoretically have video on one screen, and then if you have a phone or something nearby or a tablet or a PC, you can, or even a smart device like an Amazon Echo, you could listen on the iHeartRadio app. John Williams watching us on YouTube. Thank you, John Williams. Wow, Jason says, I have YouTube up on the TV and Facebook on my phone to interact. That's cool. Thank you for having us on two platforms, Jason. Well, Sam Tobias watching through the phone, casting to the TV via Google Chromecast. You guys are a lot more sophisticated than I am. Man, I'm looking at San Antonio radar right now on Fox 29. And Austin, not so much at the moment. They just pulled back. But San Antonio's getting pummeled right now by rain, especially northwest San Antonio, around the northwest quadrant of 410, 1604, Leon Valley, Helotes. Bernie's getting hit. Warren Wheeler says the weather sucks today. Scary drive. Yeah, and apparently the forecast says chance of thunderstorms all week. I just saw a thing on TV. The biggest chance is today at 80%. It goes down a little bit. Tanner is in the studio, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
What is happening?
Hope everybody had a good 4th of July weekend.
Woo! How about you? Did you?
Yes, very good. So you got Suns in 6, huh?
Suns in 6. I would like the Bucks to win because there's more Spurs involved, more people with Spurs ties. But with Giannis hurt, I can't, in good conscience, pick the Bucks.
And feel confident about it.
Yeah. Louisa says on the northwest side, it's been pouring for 40 minutes nonstop. So you're going to watch the match?
I'll probably tune in a little bit.
Yeah.
I won't sit there and watch every shot, but yeah, I'll tune in. And
Yeah.
and I was asking, I was actually talking to JC about this yesterday. I said, I'm curious. Last year was in the thick of the pandemic. There was no other sports on.
True.
You know, there was all these COVID regulations. I'm curious if they're going to have fans there.
It's a great question.
If they sold tickets for them.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did. And then also, I mean, I know you're going to see 4 megastars playing golf together, but how much of there is a will to just follow 4 guys 18 holes around the golf course and just follow them, you know?
Right.
How much of an audience are you actually going to pull with that?
That's a good question. That is interesting because normally you would be somewhat stationary.
Yeah, I mean, and even if you just want to sit at a particular hole, you're not going to be able to sit at a hole. You're just going to be waiting on them to come to 5 or whatever, and you're just sitting there. So
yeah.
But I'm curious if you're just going to have some fans just following them throughout all 18, or what the case is.
Here we come.
This is the Chris Duel Show. Now, Chris Duel.
A Taco Tuesday, the first Tuesday back from the 4th of July weekend. Rainy weather in parts of our listening and viewing area. We say viewing because we are streaming live video. Number of ways you can participate with the live stream, either via Facebook on AM 1300 The Zone's Facebook page or Ticket 760's Facebook page. There is a YouTube video link. There's a way to get there via YouTube and Twitch. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney, special in-studio guest. And it's a good day to bring him in because we often talk Cowboys and NFL football and or golf with Tanner Carlson, and with the match. Let you enjoy his sound effect there. With the match coming up today, that's part of it. But Shannon, we haven't even mentioned, and we'll pose both of these poll questions to Mr. Tanner Carlson as we welcome him in. We've got not just one, but we've got 2 poll questions today, Tanner. So, right. Shannon, what are our poll questions this morning?
Well, number one, it's only right with the start of the NBA Finals that we're asking who will win said NBA Finals between the Bucks and the Suns. Currently, 57% of the vote going towards the Phoenix Suns, as they do have that home court advantage and a favored by 6 tonight for that first matchup. And then secondly, because we're selfish and we're Cowboys fans and we fear for our season now that they've been announced as the feature of HBO's Hard Knocks this summer, we're asking if you're concerned that being featured on Hard Knocks will doom the Cowboys season. 76% saying yes, the jinx is real.
Wow.
23%, I guess, don't care because they're saying no, Cowboys will be fine.
All right, well, let's ask those 2 questions, and then we'll dwell on the second one a little bit with Tanner Carlson. Number 1, NBA Finals Game 1 tonight. Who's going to win the series?
Yeah, I'll give a quick prediction. I've got the Suns winning it all. I've got the Suns winning tonight's game, and I've got the Suns winning the whole series. I think they win in 5, win in 6. Something. Maybe a gentleman's sweep, or maybe the Bucks can get a healthy Giannis and they're firing on all cylinders or something. But the Suns are just playing too good right now. I think they're the team all around. They're not only the healthiest team right now, which is a huge part of it, but they're also, even before going into the playoffs and then throughout the first couple of rounds of the playoffs, they've been the best team throughout, and it's kind of been by a wide margin. So I'm pretty sure that they're going to take care of this thing, and we'll see a first-time NBA champion this year, and
that's good for them.
And I think that's awesome. I think that's great. I think they've got a great environment. I love watching their home games. I think their fans are going nuts, and I love it. And as much, I mentioned this last week, as much as I've given Chris Paul so much flack throughout his whole career, I'm happy to see him succeeding and hopefully win a championship.
Yeah, I was telling Shannon earlier, even if the Bucks were at full strength and their most important player, Giannis, is hurt and doubtful for tonight's game, even at full strength, the Suns might have won this series because, as you said, they're on a roll. They're red hot. Nobody's playing better basketball throughout the playoffs than the Suns.
And you see these types of runs happen every now and then. You saw it a couple of years back with the Raptors. The Raptors were just on fire. And I don't think anybody gave them a chance against the Warriors. And then a couple of pieces fall down for the Warriors. Durant gets hurt. Klay Thompson gets hurt. And everything just kind of seems like, the Raptors are all of a sudden now the favorite. And I think they were just the team playing the best basketball. You go back, there's plenty of instances where that happens. Where you just get a red hot team into the playoffs and it doesn't seem they're a freight train and nothing can seem to stop them. And then, like I mentioned, health. I think health has been a huge storyline in these playoffs, but I think the Suns have been able to manage it the best.
We shall see game 1 tonight, 8:00 on ABC. Now the bigger for Cowboys fans, the bigger question, and you tweeted about this once it dropped, I believe on Friday, that the Cowboys would be on Hard Knocks. You seem to be one of those guys who thinks that this will affect the Cowboys' chances. How do you feel about the Cowboys on Hard Knocks?
I feel as though it is never a good thing for any team ever who's been on Hard Knocks. Now, I understand, the ratings are there. I understand the viewership is there. I get it, whatever, fun and games. Just go pick on a crappy team. Go pick on the Jets or go pick on Jacksonville. Go pick on the Texans this year. I know there's no storylines involving those teams other than the Jaguars, but it's like, guys, come on, man. Dallas has been on it. This will be their 3rd year that the Cowboys have been on Hard Knocks.
Yes.
They've had 15 seasons. Dallas has had 3 of those, and there's 32 teams in the league. So you're telling me there's no other teams in the league
but they're the Cowboys.
I mean,
they have to qualify though, and that's the sad part.
There are some qualifications,
even more times than just the 3 times that they've actually been picked to be featured on the show.
And it's just so frustrating that guess what? I'm gonna sit there and watch every episode.
Oh God, yes.
Of course. I mean, that's the thing that I hate the most is I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna watch Dak and I'm gonna watch the practice. I'm gonna watch the show. I'm gonna get my hopes up. I'm gonna get all fired up and want to run through a wall. And then come week 5, when we're 1-4, I'm going to say, this is Hard Knocks' fault. This is all Hard Knocks' fault. And I consumed every second of it. So I'm only going to blame myself for all of what's going to happen this upcoming season. No, but in all seriousness, Dallas has, in the 2 previous years, Dallas has not made the playoffs the years they were on Hard Knocks. They have a losing record. They were 9-7 one year, but overall they were like 5-11 one year after it. But if people remember in 2008, Dallas was coming off of a 13-3 season, number 1 seed and throughout the entire playoffs. They were the best team in the NFL. They had Romo and T.O., Wade Phillips. Everything was firing on all cylinders. We lose to the Giants in the second round of the playoffs. Our first game, which we had a first round bye that year, go into the offseason, all the expectation, all the hype in the world. Dallas is going to run through the NFC East. They're clear shot favorites to win the Super Bowl. Everything was high and mighty. Hard Knocks comes to town. We finish 9-7, don't make the playoffs. That's why I hate Hard Knocks. That is the reason why I hate Hard Knocks.
Shannon had a great question earlier in the show, and I'll pose it to you. We know Dak is going to be a big storyline. Zeke is automatically a big storyline. He'll be mic'd. Defensive side of the ball. The producers come to you, Tanner Carlson, go, who's one guy we need to feature and mic up on the defensive side of the ball? Who do you choose?
Well, they always do some, they never always just go straight for the big name guy. They're going to have obviously DeMarcus Lawrence out there talking to everybody. He's the most notable defensive player on this team currently. But I think you'd have to go. And Jalen Smith is always a good soundbite because he's Mr. Positivity and he's Mr. Upbeat and optimistic, and he's going to preach at you. So he's a good soundbite to have. But I think you're going to have some guys that we don't know about, and that's a great opportunity to get a lot of these kind of lower end draft picks or whatever. And I think Kelvin Joseph, our 2nd round pick this year, Kelvin Joseph, he has a little rap gig on the side. He does. No. He has some albums. He produces music and stuff. And so I wouldn't be surprised not one bit if they go kind of into his, little studio and have him rap a little bit and kind of get to know him on a more personal side of things. I wouldn't be surprised. Don't be surprised at all if you kind of see a deeper dive into the background of Kelvin Joseph and his off the field interest as well.
Now, one thing I'm just now thinking about, because you're right, they it's not only about football, right? They get into their other hobbies or people that they're closely aligned with, right? We typically get the significant other of the quarterback or even the head coach gets a good storyline. Now, we know Dak has been seeing his significant other for a little over a year, right? She was there with him through the injury. She's been there with them all through the pandemic. In fact, there was that birthday party, I believe, for her that got them in trouble, right? Because of the social
Oh,
distancing and
that's
having a
right.
group of
Yeah.
more than 10 people around. Do we want to see her there? Are we interested in that?
I don't know if I mean, I know they're gonna dive. They're gonna have to bring up Dak's past with his family and his brother and his mom, and so you would think that during that they would probably have what is it, girlfriend, fiance? What are they now? Did he propose? I thought
there were rumors that she was wearing a ring on that
right,
finger, but I don't know that we
it
ever
could have
got
just been
confirmation.
jewelry. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, I would imagine that maybe she's there, or his brother's really big into his, support group and stuff. So you could probably get a little bit of Tad Prescott in there. So, but yeah, another big storyline. Micah Parsons, he's got a son. I could see them deep diving into kind of his arrival. He's a first round pick, obviously, but his arrival into camp, him saying bye to his kids or his kid. And kind of get into a very personal, make him kind of a, that kind of young fatherly figure type of guy coming in and whatnot, high aspirations. All this can, Dallas trading back to go get him. And so, there's a lot of, they're always going to find story, and there's going to be storylines that we've never even heard of or didn't even think about. And they're going to get some, they always get a couple of undrafted guys to talk to that don't have a chance at making, outsiders looking in. They always kind of get bubble players for rosters that we've never even heard of. And they'll do, kind of a deeper and, involvement into their camp life and stuff like that. And then players getting cut. That's always kind of interesting to see how they do that. But I can guarantee you this one thing. After watching Hard Knocks, and I've seen other episodes, seen other seasons, how often do you see the owner in those shows? Probably not very often. There's very few times you see the owner walking into coaches meetings and involved in team meetings. Jerry Jones will be there.
Oh God,
just about every single episode, walking in on a team meeting, walking in on whatever situation's happening. He's going to find the camera. He's going to sit down right in front of it. I promise you that.
As we've seen before.
Yes.
I mean, we've seen those bubble meetings. It was Jason Garrett back in 2008, but we've seen Jerry along with Stephen Jones and the head coach, meeting and deciding who's going to make the team when it comes to bubble players.
And it's not only because he is the GM, whatever you want to give him that title, but another fun thing, and I don't know if y'all watch this either, but this is actually the fourth time Dallas has had cameras throughout their, preseason training camp. They had the Amazon show All or Nothing,
which is another good show,
which is another great show.
Yeah.
But again, I hate when the Cowboys are on those types of things, but Jerry was all over the place on that one. I mean, he was in every single meeting making decisions about roster decisions and whatnot. And so be prepared to get a whole lot of Jerry is all I can say. And Stephen Jones is probably more involved now than he was in 2008. So you'll probably get some Stephen Jones in there as well.
So, but you are of the camp that the Cowboys
100%.
Season it will be drastically affected by this.
I'm already looking at the 2022 draft top 10 picks. I'm already there. Yeah.
The Cowboys will find a way to go 0-5 during the weeks of Hard Knocks. Where we are now.
God.
And this kind of does show the importance of, regardless if all the Cowboy haters that are listening right now, they're listening for a reason because they hate them.
Yeah.
And they're, it disgusts them, but they can't get enough of them. And that's what makes us America's team. But here's the thing too, is you cannot undersell the importance of the Dallas Cowboys and what they mean to the NFL.
Yeah.
In general, we're coming off of a COVID year. We're coming off of a pandemic where revenue was lost. So how's the best way to make that revenue up for the NFL? Put the Dallas Cowboys in the Hall of Fame game. Put the Dallas Cowboys on Hard Knocks. Put the Dallas Cowboys opening the season against Tom Brady and the defending Super Bowl champs to kick the regular season off.
Yeah.
They are using the Cowboys in every instance that they can, every opportunity that they've had this offseason. Dak has been the main storyline on every talk show, morning show that you want to watch. It's all over. Dallas is everywhere you look, and it's typically like that every year, but now more so than probably ever before, Dallas is going to be featured on just about every single poster, whatever live event or event leading up to the actual NFL season. Dallas is going to be the spotlight.
And I think that's the way it should be.
Well,
They are America's team.
You're going to make the most money.
Right.
You're going to get the most views. You're going to get the most interaction. And the NFL, I don't think they lost money. I don't think the NFL loses money regardless of the pandemic, but I don't think they made the revenue that they're accustomed to making. And so I think this is one way that they're going to be able to do that, is put Dallas on the front page of everything.
Going to be absolutely fascinating. Let's shift gears. Something else we like to talk to you about is golf. The match is today, I believe, 4:00 Central Time. It gets underway. It's on 3 networks, I think, including TNT. Obviously, Tom Brady, you just mentioned him. He's a big deal, along with Phil Mickelson, Aaron Rodgers, Bryson DeChambeau. We've talked about all 4 of these guys a lot the last few months. What is your expectation for the match later this afternoon?
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and call a back-to-back win for Tom Brady and Phil. I think if you can beat Tiger and Peyton Manning, I think you can go out and beat Bryson DeChambeau and Aaron. I have no idea if Aaron Rodgers is any good at golf.
He's pretty good.
Is he? I've never
He'll
seen
play next week in Tahoe too, or this week, later this week.
So I've never seen him play or seen any amateur events that he's taken. I knew Peyton at least golfed. I actually knew that he knew something about golf. And so I was all team Peyton and team Tiger last year, but I think Tom Brady and Phil's gonna take it to him.
We have Bryson missing the cut this last week, and it's the week after he parted ways with his caddy. So he's in a mood.
Yeah.
And do you know, Shannon, that story about Bryson and his caddy parting ways? Do we have any information on what went wrong there?
The information we have is that it was a mutual decision, yet Bryson won't talk anything else about it. So if I'm the caddy, I'm probably like, dude, no, we're done here.
Yeah, and y'all saw the shade that was thrown by Koepka on Twitter.
I did not.
Happy National Caddies Day. It wasn't National Caddies Day, but he said Happy National Caddies Day. Took a picture with his caddy. They're all smiles, and it's just so petty. But
I love it.
Petty wars on Twitter and PGA petty wars is the best thing I never knew I needed.
The best thing that could happen today is if Brooks Koepka is doing nothing but live tweeting the entire event.
That would be great.
Yeah, it would be perfect.
That would be great.
Yeah. But there's always some kind of shade. So any news that I see that comes out about Koepka or DeChambeau, I immediately go on Twitter and search the opposite person's name to see if they've responded or something. I mean, it's the war I never knew I needed, and I'm so glad it's in my life.
Well, and as Shannon brings up, I didn't even think about that, to check Koepka's Twitter feed throughout this thing today.
I would do it. I think that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, and you brought this up before we came on the air at the top of the hour, Tanner. A year ago, it was the pandemic and there was no sports going on. And obviously, it would have been a big thing anyway. But last year, you had Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning involved against Mickelson and Tom Brady. This year, there's a lot of sports, and it's the same day as the NBA Finals, even though it won't be opposite finals. It'll be ahead of the finals this afternoon at 4. But obviously less of a big deal with Tiger Woods not involved, and less of a deal because it's not the only game. We were so starved for sports a year ago.
The first sporting event that had really kind of come around.
Do you think there will be a huge drop off in interest because of these factors?
I don't know if you'll get the viewership that you got last year. I think we were so, like you said, we were so starved and just, deprived of sports. And so, I don't know if the viewership will be there. I was curious, and I'm also still interested to see if they sold tickets to this event, if they're going to have fans just following them and how they're going to set that up. Because I don't know. I mean, as great as it would be to see those 4 great, personalities on the golf course, as a fan, do you really want to walk 18 holes and just follow these guys around every single shot? At a golf event, typically you can sit at a hole and watch the field kind of come through, and you're never really at a loss for any action. But in this situation, you'd have to follow this one group throughout all 18 holes. And I mean, sure, if there's people that want to do that, but you also got to account for the golf course itself. And does that clubhouse want that many people walking on their course, and mushing down the grass and groundskeeping, all that stuff that goes into that. So I don't know if you want to put on that much of a charade, just for the event that's happening. So I'll be interested to see kind of how they're going to go about this.
Some people saying that they want to listen closely to Aaron Rodgers, that in conversation, with Tom Brady and Bryson DeChambeau and Phil Mickelson, that we might get some hints or some insight into what's going on with him and the Green Bay Packers in their dispute this offseason. Do you think we'll have any insight based on conversation today?
If the way I know Aaron Rodgers is he's kind of complicated, wearing the shirt of I'm insulted, or what is it?
I'm offended.
I'm offended. Yeah. I think we're more likely to see something like that than we are him saying on the mic and getting caught, saying, yeah, I want to go play for Denver. You know what I mean? Like, I think,
and will Brady needle him a little bit on that? I would think so, right?
I think Brady pokes the bear a little bit. Yeah, I think he definitely pokes the bear a little bit. But I think we're more likely to see some kind of subliminal messaging or some kind of message on his bag or something. Because Aaron Rodgers is difficult that way. He can't just go out and say something. He has to kind of subtweet everything, and it's kind of like, okay, dude, just come out and say it. If you're going to say something, come out and say it. But I don't think we get anything like that for, him. But I think, maybe we get a little subliminal message, a little wink and a nod here, maybe a hint of something.
So I'm assuming, and I gather from our conversation that both of you are picking Mickelson and Brady to win this.
I think Phil and Brady got it on lock again,
I'm going to go the other way.
Whoa! Okay.
And I do think Aaron Rodgers is a better golfer than Brady. Dare I say.
Wow.
See, I kind of want to see, like, I mean, obviously me, it's not that surprising, but I would like to see like a Romo channel. Like, I'd like to see Romo get thrown in here on a celebrity course or something.
I think it's time. Maybe next year. I think it's time.
He had to drop out last week after 8 holes because of his back.
That's true. Him and Tiger would be a pair.
He'd never live it down if it was him against another quarterback who he's been beaten by time in and time out.
Yeah. And whether you went against Rodgers or Peyton or Brady, I mean, the glaring thing would be these dudes went to a Super Bowl, Romo, and you did not. But I would love to see it, though. And my God, what a personality he would be.
Well, I think they should go and have the PGA players. I think they should have the professional golfers caddy for a duo of, say, Romo and Barkley, and then like MJ and Brady.
That would be fun.
Have these athletes playing different sports be the two pair, and then have a PGA golfer being their caddy.
That's brilliant.
And coaching them.
I think that's something. I like that a lot.
I think that's something you can kind of play on more, so, and then kind of build off of these matches that you've seen the last 2 years, because they are fun, and I think people tune in.
Tanner Carlson, you can watch for he and Brooks Koepka live tweeting throughout.
I don't know how much live tweeting I'll be doing of this. Yeah,
throughout the match, which starts at 4:00 this afternoon. Tanner is on Twitter at Tanner Carlson 20. Tanner, enjoy the match.
Yeah,
we will see who is right. Will it be you or will it be Shannon? You are going Brady and Mickelson. She is going DeChambeau and Rodgers.
I've stopped counting Brady out. I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done betting against Brady. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. I hope everybody was safe this weekend, and I'll see y'all later this week.
Yep, and stay safe, especially in the rain throughout the week. Coming up, we will wrap our heads and wrap our minds and wrap our speech all around everything coming at you on this Taco Tuesday in the world of sports. NBA Finals, the match. Astros embarking upon a big 3-game series against the Oakland A's. We'll get you ready for the day, for the night, for the big week that begins a day late on a Taco Tuesday. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. Dave Ayler making the show go. I'm Chris. It's the Chris Duel Show. Thank you, sir. Enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Oh, Jason Garcia. Jason Garcia, what does Tony Romo and Charles Barkley's phone have in common? He says, no ring. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Tough crowd. Tough crowd. You still looking again? All right.
Okay, see, everything there looks right.
Yeah.
I'm going to write this up, and the engineer's just going to come back. So it's not supposed to happen like that. I go, yeah, I know it's not supposed to happen, but it does. You know where Gonzo's playing, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah, there's got a job in Houston.
Wow.
So soon we'll be down to no on-site engineers.
Wow.
Dan retired last week.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And they never replaced Jason.
Wow. So wow, Jason, Dan, and now Gonzo.
I don't know if Gonzo's still here or not. I assume he's still.
Yeah.
I assume he put in 2 weeks.
Right.
His
Wow.
contract was up.
That's amazing.
So maybe he said, "Hey, contract's up. I'm leaving."
Yeah.
Yeah, this should be fun.
Yeah. Okay, are you here the rest of the week? Okay. Okay, what about now? Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, did you do anything different? That's so weird. It's probably it. One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The closer I get. That's so weird. Yeah. Yeah, it's not like I'm wearing my headphones right now, so it's not like echo through the headphones. Yeah, it's so weird. It's like, and I don't know what happens in the afternoon when Sam is in here, but sometimes in the morning I'll record spots, and sometimes I'll record them in stereo. Sometimes they'll be on one channel, and sometimes they'll be on both channels in stereo. And I there's no rhyme or reason as to why that happens. Yes. Yes. Yeah, oh, I do that. And I always record in stereo because sometimes if it's just one channel, then because when it's just one channel and you record in mono, it won't record at all. So you have to record it in stereo, then you have to copy and paste it onto a mono file. Yeah. But when I do that, so I always record in stereo because I never know what's going to happen. But it's like half the time in here in the morning, it'll be in stereo, and then half the time only on one channel. So it's weird. And I have no idea why it does that. Wes Perkins, good morning. From Destin, Florida. I'm assuming you're on vacation, Wes. And hopefully the weather is better in Florida than San Antonio right now, where it's crazy rain and storms, apparently. I'm looking at a radar map right now. Northwest side of town. Helotes, Leon Valley, 151, SeaWorld. Getting pretty hard hit right now based on radar. Here we come. Woo! Woo! Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. A shout out to Wes Perkins, who is watching and listening to us from Destin, Florida this morning on the video stream, which you can access via Facebook Live and YouTube and Twitch and elsewhere. I just saw this, Shannon, and I did not know this until now, that in the Tokyo Olympics for the USA equestrian team, one of the Olympic competitors will be Jessica Springsteen. If the name Jessica Springsteen sounds vaguely familiar, she is the daughter of Bruce Springsteen. That's pretty cool.
Isn't that unfair?
A little, yeah.
You guys have so much.
Your life is too good, Jessica.
Something else.
Yeah.
An equestrian of all things, you know.
Yeah. You ride horses. Your dad is the boss.
Right. Certain class of people
Yeah.
into equestrian.
And now you're going to the Olympics. Yeah, that's a little. Come on, Jessica.
Because you think of that sport, you have to bring your horse with you.
Ooh, really? How do you transport a horse to Tokyo from the States?
Like if you think about even when you like take your dogs, right? They have some countries they have to basically go through a quarantine.
Yeah.
And that's a big dog, a horse.
I mean, you can't fly a horse on a jet, can you? I mean, that's got to
by boat.
I would think that's got to be by boat. That's a great question. I have no idea. I've never thought of that until you just said it. How do you get a horse for the equestrian competition to Tokyo for the Olympics?
And do you bring more than one?
Yes.
What happens to the horse?
Wow.
These are the questions that I need answered.
Wow.
But, I mean, it is great for the sport though, because they're obviously getting all this recognition, right? Because they have such a big name.
Yeah.
Kind of. I don't know that I never knew he had a daughter who was.
I didn't either.
Into that sport, but I think they'll get a lot of coverage now. It's unfortunate for him that he's not going to be able to watch her live in person.
Right.
But still pretty cool nonetheless to be an Olympian, have an Olympian as a kid.
Yeah, you make a great point though. Would you and I how many sports talk shows in America would be talking about the Olympic equestrian competition if Jessica Springsteen, the daughter of Bruce Springsteen, wasn't on that team? That's a great point. Trying to see here if I see. She's 29 years old. Okay, she was an alternate for the 2012 London Summer Games, but failed. Yeah. She failed to make the 2016 Rio Games. So good for her. She had to work for it a little bit.
Yeah, she wasn't just giving it because of her name.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Her stallion is 12-year-old Don Juan Van de Donkovi, Donkhove.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, that's a little much for a horse. Yeah. Wow. I wonder what kind of a life 29-year-old Jessica Springsteen has had. And I wonder, other than equestrian, riding horses, what she does. So, yeah.
Concerts.
Yeah, my dad's the boss.
Quite literally.
Yeah, get out of my way. Exactly. Very cool. This is, the month of July, Shannon, not only, and we talked about Hard Knocks, not only NFL training camps in just a few weeks this month, but of course the Tokyo Olympics. And, I've been excited about Greg Popovich coaching Team USA. And, that's going to be here before we know it. I think a total of 3 players, 2 members of the Bucks and 1 member of the Phoenix Suns are on that Olympic team. So
that's going to be an adjustment too.
Yeah, that's going to be real weird.
But luckily, the one good thing when the Olympics rolls around of getting up this early is that typically they're still on.
Yes.
In the first hour or so of our show. So we can provide live updates, especially as we get near to the final rounds of all of the events. Because it's hard, especially in this digital age, to wait till that primetime broadcast and not know already. And sometimes, because it is so, like, if you wait till like the 9 and 10 o'clock hours of the broadcast, they do show live events that are happening that morning. But it's hard it's like the people who don't want record the Super Bowl, like that episode of How I Met Your Mother. There's no way you can avoid not knowing who won.
Yes.
You can't do it.
Well, and and probably you, but I know a lot of people, I get notifications on, there's certain Twitter accounts, especially for sports, since we talk sports, that I follow. And it would be impossible, I think, for me or you to observe, radio and television silence to not know the outcome of an Olympic event, and specifically Olympic basketball, because
and if the notifications don't do it for you, we'll tell you right
yes,
in the morning.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's and I saw, in fact, earlier this morning on our live video stream, our good friend, and we've had him on the show before, he's from Tokyo, the greatest international Spurs fan, Taro Kotani, who's traveled from Tokyo to San Antonio 16 times over the years to see the Spurs play. He's got tickets to go see Olympic basketball, but he doesn't yet know what games he's going to go see. Apparently they haven't let him know which games those are going to be good for yet, which I think is interesting. And he said there's still talk in Tokyo. The latest we have heard is that Japanese citizens can go in limited numbers to Olympic events. But he said this morning on Facebook Live that there's now talk of the government not allowing, because of COVID concerns, that they may still prohibit fans being in attendance from Japan to go to the game. So he's not even sure if he's going to be able to see Olympic basketball. And I told him if he sees certainly Team USA play, he's going to have to come on as our official basketball correspondent for the Olympics from Tokyo.
I think to save face the government is having to be like, oh, we won't have anybody there for health reasons. But as it gets closer, I think we'll see that they are going to allow people because economically they need as much as they can because they're already losing so much.
Yeah. But, you look at the numbers and you look at the COVID outbreaks, and now we've got this Delta variant, which is spreading. So, and there's so much local pressure. You've got local government in Tokyo protesting. You've got a coalition of doctors in Japan saying, no, don't let fans go. And they didn't even want the games to be put on. So you've got to, it's going to be fascinating to see how that all plays out. And as we've seen in so many sports, Shannon, what if there's a COVID outbreak among athletes? What if Team USA or any other team in any sport has a COVID outbreak? I mean, that would be a nightmare on many levels for teams and for the Olympics themselves.
I would say that this year it's just part of the risk of being at the games.
Yeah.
Just make it part of your game plan to, stay in your room and sleep on those cardboard beds and don't fraternize with the enemy, but don't fraternize with others that aren't on your team because you don't know what their day-to-day life is like and you wouldn't want to risk your dream. You've already got there. You've done the hard part. So don't mess it up by fraternizing when they've asked you not to for those social distancing reasons and to avoid getting COVID, whether you have the shot or not.
And that's all the more reason as we look at this Team USA basketball team. Kevin Durant's one of them. Draymond Green is another one. These are multimillionaires used to having a very, and they just went a year ago. These guys went through the bubble in Orlando. Mm-hmm. And granted, I'm sure their hotel accommodations were fine, but for these guys to go to Tokyo where they are not going to be allowed to go out to dinner at nice restaurants, which normally they would. And let's face it, they're used to a certain kind of a lifestyle, and guys like Draymond Green and Kevin Durant, who are not young NBA players, they're veterans. They've been around a long time. For them to go and play in these games and operate under the guidelines and the restrictions, well, more than guidelines, they are restrictions on these Olympic athletes. I give them all the more credit than we would in a normal Olympics for going out and doing this. LeBron has declined. Granted, he could cite injury, but it might be Space Jam promotion. But and me, I don't like Draymond Green, and I've been critical of Kevin Durant, but I credit any Olympic athlete, especially an NBA player who is stepping up to compete for their country in these games.
It'll be interesting to see if they actually stay at that Olympic Village or if they're able to talk the government into allowing them to buy out a floor at a hotel nearby, similar to what they're having to do with the media reporters. I also I'm curious what the Parade of Nations is going to look like. I always love the Summer Olympics because, you mentioned the Kevin Durant and the LeBron James, and when Kobe was there, they're world stars, right? A lot of these Olympians become world stars at the games, but most of them don't walk in the door that way.
Yeah.
And to see not only USA team members freak out over NBA players that are there, but other, athletes from around the world that have watched them and now they're standing side by side. But I love that part. I love it.
Yeah. And that's usually the hottest ticket is opening ceremonies and closing ceremonies of the Olympics. And as you mentioned, and we think about all these restrictions coming up in the Tokyo games, not only fans in the stands in that moment, but again, with COVID, what is the government in Japan and in Tokyo going to allow or disallow when it comes to opening ceremonies? That's going to be really interesting.
Be virtual. Get iHeart involved. We're great at virtual concerts.
Yes.
We're great at virtual events. We're so good at it.
And I would think certainly if there is a march in, and we're hoping there will be, everybody's going to be wearing masks. I guess we can still see who Kevin Durant is and Draymond Green. I think
towering over everybody else.
And we've seen Pop with his flowing white locks. We'll be able to recognize Pop, I would imagine. So that'll be fun. All right, Shannon, we had not one but two poll questions. I kind of like the multiple poll. This might become a new, because there's usually multiple big issues, and we could have had more. We didn't even ask as a third poll question, who's going to win the match? And I do love that you and Tanner are on opposite sides here. You are picking Aaron Rodgers and Bryson DeChambeau to defeat Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson today in the match. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, Tom Brady's had too many wins lately. I need him to take an L. Just for my
Exactly.
But we are asking who will win the NBA Finals, and it's pretty tight right now with the Phoenix Suns, 52% of the vote over the Milwaukee Bucks at 47%. And are you concerned that being featured on Hard Knocks will doom the Dallas Cowboys this season? 82% saying yes, the jinx is real.
That's amazing to me. And I am, as I told you, Shannon, and as you know, I believe in jinxes. But I'm amazed that we're at 82% on that. I would have thought it would have been 60-40. Yeah. A lot of people go, yeah, there's no such thing as a jinx.
I mean, there's probably Cowboys fans who are staring at this, not knowing which one to choose, because the diehard Cowboys fan thinks nothing can stand in their way of getting to a Super Bowl each and every year. But there is that piece of you inside that has been hurt before and so many times, and specifically by the Hard Knocks jinx.
Yeah.
That it's hard not to vote, that it is real.
I got it, and I don't have it in front of me. I've got to, we'll look that up for tomorrow. I've got to know what is premiere day on Hard Knocks. When will episode 1 be?
I think it starts the week
after training camp starts.
Okay.
Typically, each episode is the week recap.
Yeah, right. So, but again, and as you mentioned, 5 preseason games for the Cowboys because they play in that Hall of Fame game, which I do know is August 5th. So that'll be a little bit of a bonus too. You'll probably see a little Jimmy Johnson, Drew Pearson, and Cliff Harris, the 3 Cowboys being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I would imagine there's going to be some Canton, Ohio action on Hard Knocks because
they've ever done Hard Knocks with a team that's on Canton. At least not any that I've watched.
It'll be interesting. Shannon, outstanding as always. Great job. Great Taco Tuesday.
Thank you, sir. We'll do it on a Wednesday tomorrow.
Woo! In 21 hours. Dave Ayler, you rock, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you to Tanner Carlson. Be safe out there if it's raining, and we will see you in 21 hours. Adios.